Hello, and welcome to the show because you are now tuned into a brand spanking new Monday Night Live. That's right. AKA the Hangout stream, AKA the Chill stream, baby. All fired up, ready to have some fun for August 21st, 2023. And brought to you by you know who, yours truly, the man. Broadcasting from behind the curtain. You know who I am. Because if you don't know by now, you can visit www.livefreeliverich.com or simply Google this name and you can find out. How are you guys doing? How are you doing? You on the other side of this screen right here. How you doing? You doing all right? You hanging in there, champ? You doing all right, sport? How about you, old sport? Good show, old sport. All right, what do I have for you? I have some personal publishing news to share tonight, and hopefully, keyword, I can clear up some misconceptions surrounding the publishing industry during our hot topic discussion. For reading time, I'll be trying a form of writing that's never been featured during that segment before. And for our featured media tonight, we might find out whether or not boys like to play with dolls. But before we get to all that, first things first, I want to take this time, slide right inside my first segment of the night where I like to shine a spotlight on some books. That's right. That are currently available or coming soon to an online store near you. Yes, it's true. What do we got? Hit me with it. Daniel Humphreys. That's right. Publisher's tagline was Harry Dresden's sorcery goes on a supernatural style road trip. Cool car, sold separately. All right. Be continuing the Paxton Locke, our coverage of the Paxton Locke series here. This is The Sacred Radiance, Paxton Locke, Book 4 by Daniel Humphreys. Let's check it out. As normal as it can be for a secret agent charged with fighting the supernatural. No, hold on a second here. Let's see. Let's start from the top, shall we? From Dragon Award nominee Daniel Humphreys. Life is normal for Paxton Locke. As normal as it can be for a secret agent charged with fighting the supernatural. But Paxton has a steady job, a house, and a life in one place, a life he's sharing with Cassie. It's stability he's never had. Something could have only dreamed of while ghost hunting in his RV. But there are unanswered questions from the attack on Division M and whispers of a wizard at work. Paxton and his team head to England to investigate, but their welcome is anything but friendly. But neither mercenaries out for blood nor political machinations will end the hunt for justice. Ancient wizard Alistair Knight is gathering artifacts for an insane, destructive ritual deeply tied into the history of England. He plans to return the Empire to its former glory, and the only way to stop him is an all-out assault on his island fortress and a fight to the death against unspeakable horrors in the caverns below. 309 pages of horror, paranormal, and urban fantasy. Of course, all these books are suggested to me directly by the publishers themselves, whether they are a self-published author, an indie label, or a small press company. Next up here from, I always wonder about how to pronounce that last name. I want to say Emilio Iasiello. From Emilio Iasiello. The internet is a crazy place. You got that right. Follow Web Paige as she helps guide her friends safely through cyberspace. The Web Paige Chronicles by Emilio Iasiello. All right, kind of a long blurb here. Let's see what it says. Praise for the Web Paige Chronicles. Okay, so I guess this is a bit of a quote here first. Web Paige Chronicles offers a refreshing and empowering role model for young adults by eschewing young adults. That would sound more like a children's story. By eschewing this I-generation stereotypical malaise in favor of positive curiosity with technology, Iasiello folds practical cybersecurity guidance into a relatable story. It comes from Scott Schober, author of Hacked Again. Emilio Iasiello is a cybersecurity expert who has written a modern and realistic coming-of-age book that either boys or girls will enjoy. It helps them learn to deal with such modern problems as cyberbullying, hacking, sexting, online predators, and more. Though the main characters are junior high aged, older readers will enjoy this quick read and learn a great deal about safely negotiating modern technology. Highly recommended for schools and parents to share with their tweens and teens or their cyber-leery friends. Wilhelmina Evangeline Beatrice Paige is better known as Webb. Oh, I see what you did there. To her friends because of her seemingly endless knowledge of computers. Always eager to lend a hand, she takes pride in helping the technically challenged in her neighborhood as part of her pay-it-forward philosophy. But when her closest friends become the targets of cyberbullying and online predators, Webb realizes that safely navigating the internet is more than just using strong passwords and antivirus protection. By helping those who can't help themselves, Webb embarks on a journey through which she learns things from not only her friends, but also strangers, adults, and most importantly, herself. 187 pages teen, young adult, loners and outcasts fiction. That's a new one. I haven't seen that category before. Teen and young adult magical realism. Teen and young adult fiction on bullying. All right, this last one from Oz Marie G. Got some illustration here. I don't know if that's the book cover or what. We're going to find out. We're going to find out in this one here. I think she was sharing a little bit of the blurb up there. Let's save that. And this is Dark Allies, Dark Adversaries. From the dark web. The Catalonian Chronicles, Book 1 by Oz Marie G. and S.J. Powell. So this is actually a co-authored book. No, that illustration was not the book cover. All right. Beliza never knew who her parents were or what being cared for felt like. For 12 years, she endured neglect, hunger, and hostility from her caretakers and the villagers. Threatened with exorcism, she leaves despite having nowhere to go and nothing to her name. At the edge of the woods, she encounters a mysterious woman they call the Chief Catalonan. At the edge of the woods, she encounters a mysterious woman they call the Chief Catalonan, who entices her to find answers to the mysterious experiences in her life. Together with 8 other kids, Beliza finds herself in a Catalonan training camp to learn about the intertwined ethereal and corporeal worlds. High Wagon and Sansin Nucob. Here she finds that the Catalonan, a conduit between the gods, elementals, and humans, she faces the daily choice of keeping the balance between the two worlds. And for someone who had nothing, she can now wield the power over light and dark. Beliza finds a father figure in her elemental guide, Tamuro, and learns how to battle dangerous, dark entities, as well as her own childhood traumas. Soon, she and her friends must face unknown adversaries sent by Satan, the Lord of Darkness, not to be confused with Satan, perhaps the Lord of Terror. Are they prepared for the cost this war will exact from them? A life and friendship. 351 pages of Asian myth and legend ebooks, Asian myth and legend metaphysical fantasy ebooks. And those are the books for this week. And if you're watching this on the replay, you can head on over to the community tab and you can cast your vote for which one out of those 3 books you thought had the most text appeal. In other words, which one out of those 3 aforementioned titles would you yourself be most likely to pick? And if you would like to discover more from the independent market, you can head on over to my shorts tab or my playlist tab, and you can open yourself up some mystery packs. Inside each mystery pack, there is a cover card that will reveal a book from the independent market that was recognized by the Live Free, Live Rich network. And inside the description section of each video, you will find a link that will take you to an editorial written specifically on that work by yours truly. And speaking of reviews, let's get right into the next segment, which is the reader's review. Now, this is where I would be sharing a review. I want to start sharing some reviews. I want to start highlighting some readers out there that take the time to give indie books the time of day. And I know that that's sometimes a tall order for some people because you're dealing with very obscure work. So these are authors that no one really knows about, books that not very many people have heard of before. So when you read those books, not only is reading a solitary activity, but then once you read a book that from an author that not very many people have heard of, and a book that not very many people have read, if any at all, it could be even more of a isolating, I guess, activity. But if you are one of those people, I want to give you the time of day. I want to highlight that work that you put in, almost as like a way of, almost as a way of saying, kind of welcoming you to the indie scene, because that is what the indie scene is all about, is just kind of a lot of what happens here is word of mouth. And a big part of what makes the indie scene interesting, at least for me, is discovery. It all boils down to one word, and that one word being discovery. Making discoveries. You are somebody who wants to make your own discoveries. And, that doesn't necessarily mean just on your own, because there's a lot of different networks and ways and interactive and engaging ways in which people who are part of the underground scene can make those discoveries. That can be quite fun, actually. And I want this to kind of serve as that. Serve as like another form of discovery, while at the same time highlighting those who give indie books a time of day. So what you can do is you can share a review with me. So what I'm really looking for here is just short form reviews. So think Goodreads reviews, or if you do like a social media post, that's fine. So just short form reviews, and a rating, like if you rate it as well. And I don't care if it's a positive, if you had it, I want to get your experience is really what I want to get. And also you're welcome, if you want to come onto the show and share your experience live on the air with me, we could probably make that happen. I think that would be fun and add a little flavor to the show as well. Bring someone on and give a reader a chance to come on the show, especially if you have, like, I encourage you, if you have like your own Booktube channel or something, it could be a way of kind of raising awareness as well for your own channel. And you can share your experience with my audience. And I don't care. And I'm the type, like, I really don't care if you had a positive experience or if you want to share a negative experience. Shit, if you're one of those people that's like, hey, look, I hear a lot about indie, but I've yet to find that, the cream of the crop, as it may be. You might be one of those people. That's fine. If you're very critical of the indie scene, I'm cool with that. I think that would make for some interesting conversation, actually. Because I myself, like, I can be, when I write my reviews, I can be quite critical, perhaps even harsh at times, it may seem like. But I'm fine with that. I'm not, it's not all rah siskumba around here. All right. And then another way is you authors, if you want to recognize someone who gave one of your books the time of day, you are also welcome to share a link to Goodreads review of your own books, and I'll check that out. Good evening, Rachel. How are you? How are you doing with those 300,000 words? You told me that last week. It actually took me a little bit for me to process what the hell it was that you said to me, and realize how busy you have been. Really? I have not heard of those, but now I'm intrigued to look them up. Maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk. Now, is that something new? So you started, because you were talking about that last week. So you start some edits on that whip today before getting those closing chapters written. Is this a brand new project, or is this more of the your lyrical series? I know you had planned on that one when you had come onto the show. I know that we had talked, and you planned on that one being pretty lengthy series, at least projected. Let's get into some announcements. Just a little housekeeping for you guys. For those of you interested in getting your work featured on the show, the easiest way to get your work noticed every week, I try to make it a point each and every single week on Twitter. I'm not huge on social media. In other words, I don't spend a lot of my time engaging in small talk on social media. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'll leave it at that. But I guess in a roundabout way, if I had to sum it up, I just see it as one big, huge time sink. But I do try to make it a point to kind of touch base with people who are, checking in on social media on a weekly basis or a daily basis. And I try to catch people weekly. And I do what I'm now calling my weekly indie outreach. So I'll do like three times a week. I'll try to do my weekly indie outreach while simultaneously trying to do some promo for the show, which in turn then hopefully helps also raise awareness for everybody's work that I featured during the show. So you see how I kind of stack these layers, try to kill multiple birds with one stone, if you will, in that way. So, but another way that you can kind of get involved with the show if you're not so big on social media is I do have these two group servers that I started. So I have the Discord server and also the Gilded server, and the links for those, they're open invitations. Everybody is welcome to join. They're always in the show notes down below. You just click on one of those. You can join. There's no expectations of you. There's all these different channels that you'll see in there where you can share various different projects that you're working on or works that you already have available on the market or what have you, or videos that you want to share with me, anything like that. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, the novella you went ham on. Yeah. What is that? The Kronk Project. The Kronk Project. I think that's the first I've heard you say that. What is this? It's a fantasy romance, a loose kind of Beauty and the Beast retelling set in feudal era, Sino-Asia inspired fantasy worlds. A little bit of a Eastern influence on there, huh? Fantasy romance. On a scale of chili peppers, how would you rate the spice? Or is that too much? Is that asking too much at this point in the process? Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Did you plot this one? Well, actually, no. I said obviously. I mean, you could have plotted a little bit or did some planning, but obviously it must have been mostly pantsed if you were planning on it, or at least you projected it to be a novella, and now you're 300,000 words in. 300,000 words. It seems like a lot for a fantasy romance, but I'm unfamiliar with the genre. Perhaps epic. You're going for epic on this one, huh? I know there is epic fantasy. Do you think you're going to end up whittling it down? Oh, okay. Slow burn. So maybe not so that implies that maybe it's not so hot and spicy right out the gates. At least you got to earn that if anything. All right. Well, I got some publishing news to share. I did publish, for those of you, speaking of projects, I'll show that before I forget. For the first half, one chili. But for the second half, you're giving it a solid 4 chilies. Interesting. I would be interested to see what 4 chilies means in Rachel's world. All right. All right. Back on task here. The new vignette. I have a new vignette that I published on the Live Free, Live Rich website through Live Free, Live Rich Entertainment. You can check that out. What's a vignette? Let me just take a second here and let's talk about this subject a little bit. Now, for those of you, vignettes. So I was thinking this was something that I kind of just decided to do. It was like a while back, probably early on. I can't remember the exact year now. I think 2021 maybe is when I first started publishing them. But really, it's like more or less when I feel like it, kind of almost doubles as like a writing exercise for me. And you know how some people, like they say they write every day, this and that. For me, I'll tell you right now, I'm not one of those people that writes each and every single day. Well, that's not true. I guess I do, but just I'm not always writing fiction. All right. So I'm always writing. I write virtually every day. I'm writing something, but I'm not always writing fiction. But I do have a lot of ideas. Sometimes I'm jotting down ideas in my 3-ring binder, and some of those ideas may never see the light of day. But some of those ideas do. And some of those ideas only pan out to be, a writing exercise. They end up being a glorified writing exercise. So in other words, I might write a scene. I might write a scene. I might try out a scene. I might write a little snippet of narration, or try my hand at writing some descriptive prose, something like that. But it's not considered a complete story. So that's the difference between a vignette and, say, for instance, a piece of microfiction or a piece of flash fiction or something like that. A vignette is basically, think of it as kind of like, I see it personally, I see it as a writing exercise, but it can be a piece of fiction that could be published. In other words, you could actually have a book of vignettes, or you could have a piece of literary work that is a series of vignettes. Think of someone like, who's that Russian guy? Dostoevsky, or however you pronounce his name. I haven't read. He's on my reading list. He's on my bucket list, but I haven't read any of his work. But I am familiar with reviews of his work. So I've heard reviews of his work, and I heard that that's kind of like the style that he has. Like, some of his work is not necessarily full stories as much as they're kind of read more like a series of vignettes. And think of vignettes as basically like a snapshot or a slice of life. It's prose. It's kind of prose writing or narration that kind of captures a moment in time. So you're not telling a complete story in the sense of following a traditional narrative structure. There could be some characterization in there, so you could get a glimpse into someone's character. Another fun example of vignettes is you pro wrestling fans out there. Any of you pro wrestling fans out there? I used to watch pro wrestling when I was younger, in like middle school and high school. And sometimes there would be cut scenes, like in between matches. Like, say, for instance, in like the WWF, I think it was called at the time. Well, actually, it changed to WWE. But they would do, like, if they were introducing a new character storyline, they would have what they call like these little vignettes in between matches that would kind of like showcase a little snippet. It would be like a little snippet of something, of a scenario or a situation that involves that character, and it kind of serves to show a little bit of that character, like reveal something about that character. Oh, are they going to be a good guy? Are they going to be a heel? That's what vignettes are. And every now and then, if I write a vignette in my spare time and I feel like it's something that's worthy of publishing online and I feel like sharing it with the public, then this is where I would do that. Have you guys ever heard of vignettes? I plead the fifth. Hey, Sean's here. What's up, man? You are here not having mac and cheese. You are not having mac and cheese for once. You're actually having rice with globs of butter. That sounds delicious. Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky. All right, let's talk about we got some more publishing to talk about, and this one is for you guys. I'm looking to I continue my effort to kind of, reach out to my peers in the writing community And I do have an opportunity for you guys to kind of collab with me, and we can kind of build a peer-to-peer relationship, if you will. And this is something that I call the Storytellers Society. The Storytellers Society, still accepting open submissions. This is a public collaborative project, kind of basically an outreach program, really, for my peers in the writing community. What I'm looking for is flash fiction for this project. Flash fiction for this project is fiction that is between 500 all the way up to 2,000 words. This can be fiction that you actually have published somewhere else, so long as you own the copyright and you have the right to give me permission to republish it on my blog, where it will be free for public viewing from now and indefinitely. Just because you submit something doesn't mean that your work will automatically be published. It does need to be approved, but if approved, then you'll effectively book yourself a room at what I've dubbed the Hotel del SS, where all the members of the Storyteller Society stay. Yes, and that one goes out to all you writers out there, whether you are an aspiring author or a published author. Last but not least here, if you'd like to stay on the up and up with what's going on with the Live Free, Live Rich brand altogether, and what I'm got and all my goings on, if you will, and my projects, you can subscribe to the LFLR Weekly. Right on the home page. I've been doing a little cleanup on the website, make it spruce things up, make it look a little bit cleaner. And right at livefreeliverich.com, right on the home page, there's a spot there for you to subscribe to the newsletter. And as of right now, I send out exactly one newsletter every week, every Saturday, and that will provide you guys with all the pertinent weeks from the previous week. Keep you on the up and up with what's going on with me. And if you have some news to share, feel free to share it. I'm always interested to know, what people are working on, what kind of ideas and events people have going on. It's just an excuse to I feel like it's just really an excuse for us to like interact with each other. You know what I mean? Because when you're indie, it's a very solitary thing. It's very solitary. However, the underground scene as a whole is a community-based activity. And what I always mean by that, I say community in quotes here, right? Because it's not like we're all flying the same flag. We all are, waving the same banners and what have you. But as on an individual level, we're all kind of engaged in this thing called the underground scene, regardless of what sect or clique or group or organization you may represent. For me, it's very much an individual. It's an individualistic kind of thing for me. I personally do not subscribe to any groups, cliques, or anything like that. I'm just here for the arts and entertainments, period. So for me, what this show serves is really just an excuse to have a chance to kind of interact with you guys, an opportunity and an excuse to kind of like come forward and say, hey, I'm working on this. Hey, I got this going on, regardless of what it is that you think, or whatever it is you think you and I may or may not have in common as individuals. But we can kind of come together just to appreciate the arts and entertainment of the underground scene itself. Oh wow. I didn't know you had so much published, Sean. I have to get some of your books on here, man. Let me know what it is. I'll have to maybe I'll shoot you a message. I'll shoot you a message or something after the show and see if I can get some, or I'll look them up. How about that? So I'm planning an event. Let's just say I'm planning an event for the end of this year, and that's all I'll say right now. But I'll look up your books and if it's cool with you, then I'll talk about them during the show. Says Sean says working on the first draft of Babylon Dithers. So this is book 6 in a series, and you're editing the fourth draft of Ottoman Destiny, book 4 of that series. Wow. Yeah. At the very least, I'd want to. I'll raise some awareness for them. But I don't. No freebies for me. But I definitely appreciate the gesture. But I'll check them out for sure. Let's check out. Let's see what we have for reading time this week. Now, I told you guys I'm doing something new tonight. So this is something that I haven't done before, and I want to try to include other mediums as well, not just literature, as I've had guests on the show that actually do this. And what am I talking about here? Well, let's bring up the request. I think this person has several pen names. So they just write, good day, Shane here. I'm a self-taught comic artist and writer. Let me show my new ongoing series, Vox Machina Emer Rouge. Then just kind of have some tags here. It looks like it involves mecha, involves pilots versus aliens, girls love, drama, and romance. So let's see what we have here. 6 novels, Sean. Wow. I've yet to publish one full novel. I have some novel ideas, okay? Ideas. But, an idea is just an idea. Everybody has ideas, right? An idea is nothing until you actually see it through, make it manifest that idea, that make a physical manifestation of that idea. So I have some novel ideas, but I've yet to write a novel. So I definitely there is some respect there for me to anybody who can write an entire novel and see it all the way through to the end. Because I know me, I specialize in short form fiction. Right now, that's kind of my bread and butter. That's what I want to be known for as of right now is as a short form author. So that's where mostly my creative focus is at right now. But I know that there are, and I've had guests on here, like I said, that do comic book writing. So they write comic books. Now, when I think about like writing, being a comic book writer, usually when you think comic books, you're not thinking about the writer, you're thinking about the artists, because comic books by and large, if we're going to break it down ratio-wise, the vast majority of the book is a visual experience. However, there is writing involved in comic book production. And I've been learning a lot about comic book production over the past, I would say, year and a half, because I've never been a comic book guy myself. Actually, I've never been, into that, like a comic book nerd, if you will. Maybe a little bit. I have had like Ninja Turtle comic books and stuff like that, and I was gifted comic books as a child here and there. I do remember owning a Terminator comic book. You know that movie, The Terminator? They had a comic book series for the Terminator. And I remember owning that as a child. And the comic book was actually meant for mature audiences, let's just say. So I was exposed to some things at a very young age. But I think, I think I'm the type of person that it's like, I don't think, with all the controversy of like, children being exposed to certain things that they probably shouldn't be in YA novels and stuff. I don't think that authors should be going out of their way to try and expose minors to things that are meant for adults. I certainly do not think that is the case. However, having been at that age myself and being exposed to certain things, I think a little bit of, trauma, perhaps, if you want to consider it that, goes a long way in terms of building some character. Let's just leave it at that. And I think that's a big thing too. And that's another. I'll get back to that comment if I remember. I want to get back to that comment, maybe in the wrap up. But right now, let's check out this comic book. All right. So I'm going to try reading a comic book here. This is called Vox Machina or Vox Machina Emir Rouge. I don't know. This person, the author, I believe, is from the Philippines. I don't know. Do they speak Spanish in the Philippines? Or do they have their own language? This is by Shane Magtoto via Webtoons. What? What did I say? All right, and also take this. Also, not only we're checking out not only are we checking out this comic book, but also kind of this will serve as an opportunity to check out this website, this web platform too. This is a platform for showcasing. It's called webtoons.com, but I guess you could showcase, if you do comic books, you could create and upload digital versions of that comic book for people to check out. So I guess this would kind of serve as an example of that as well. Let's see if I can do this here. I think I see what he means by girl love. Thank you for. Where would I be without you, Sean? Thanks for clearing that up. Nice to see you have my back. Filipino. They speak Filipino. Apparently, they got their own way. I'm an uncultured. I'm a little bit uncultured in that way. I have to say. Look, I'm born in Maine. I'm a Mainer. I haven't really been out of the state that much. A little bit, as far as Chicago, but no further. All right, here you go. There's your girl love. Is that what you came to see, people? Huh? Is that your girl love right there? All right, we're going to check this out. I guess you just kind of scroll through it. We'll just scroll through it. We got this robot here. This is the full page, by the way. I have it opened up, so it's showing the full page. So I guess we'll check this out. Shane Magtoto. The Vox Machina Emir Rouge. A GL mecha drama / sci-fi story. All right. Here we go. Here, all right, here's the synopsis. 2 ladies are tasked to stop the breach of the mundane doings of monstrous mechanical bodies from decoding and changing terra. Here's the log line. Christina Herbasio. I think it's Herbasio. Christina Herbasio is assigned to join Valestia, an organization of star riders, of mechas with elemental spirits, along with Alexis de Guzman, will time travel to space and future to save their lands. Yet time, connection, and memory are all shattered in just one blink. Launch your hearts, brave soul, activate. Is that kind of like a, I wonder if that's like a catchphrase or something like that. You know, like Power Rangers. It's morphin' time. Launch your hearts, brave soul, activate. And then they jump into their mechs. They blow each other. They blow a kiss. They blow a kiss to the screen, and then they jump into their mech zoids. Launch your hearts, brave soul. Activate. Fly through the air. Jump on their star and ride it. All right. I'm not poking fun. I'm just, I'm having fun with it. Okay. This is how I have fun with it. Tagapag Ligtas. Christina Herbasio. So I guess we get to learn a little bit about the characters here. A professora from Callejao, Venezuela, surprisingly invited her to join an award-winning robotics crew, the Valestia. The mission to protect the soil and skies, the roots over the meadows, and the heavenly universe together with the bulletproof mechas. Unknown belonging. That is my title. I'll do my best to figure it out. Also, meet Alexis de Guzman, a caregiver who volunteered herself to join the Magma Robotum, a fire mecha force. The Magma Robotum. Okay, so I guess there's different sects here, different squadrons, if you will, of the Robo Force. Is with Christina to start its engine and fly to distant lands. A forgettable star born in a minimalist box. I'll prove anything for her. Alexis is assigned to control Isip. She will take the actions and swaying moves of the Apoi, the second mecha of the Magma Robotum Force. While Christina was in charge in Puso, she will control the veins, wires of the mecha, and the overall body. Wonder if there's a little bit of symbolism there. Of mechanical shades and intertwined minds. Well, that answers my question. Of mechanical shades and intertwined minds, all are connected as one. All right, so that was the teaser there. Let's go on to the next page. All right, next page here. Looks like we got some of the more concept art. It's more concept art of the characters here. It's teaser number 3. We get some more of the story here. All right. 2050. Many people do believe that robotics are made by themselves. Some do have supernatural beliefs, thinking that it was assisted by spiritual beings to guide the man-made belongings, while the few having thoughts that humans can predict what the otherworldly species' creations. Of course, filled with unintentional coincidence. Humans versus monsters. Humans versus monsters. The monstre, in simpler words, aliens or unidentified creatures, are placed as fantastical beasts. But what if they actually exist in other side of the universe? Some stories tell that it's real, yet assigned in a fiction genre. In the world of Terra, could it be possible that monstry will take over and doom? And doom? Just unassuming at the end there. Vox Machina, voice machine. There is a forgotten legend that there is a voice coming from an ancient machine, a rusty robot figure that has a ladylike voice. Don't you like my ladylike voice? Telling the codes of the different worlds. Mer Rouge, Red Sea, a sea that has reddish pigment. There are so many myths about the said sea. Don't worry. The sea is safe to sail and dive just like the ocean blues. Bring your safety equipments. Time, connection, and memory. 3 elements of a human record / history that is said as a main to fulfill their life in Terra. Time as a symbol of days, nights, seconds, and such to track every action of a human. Connection as a symbol of familiar faces from local, especially to loved ones and casualties and friends until the units of across the Terra. Clearly a little bit of broken English here. Probably not the author's first language. Memory as a symbol of cherished moments, blues, ideas, recalls, and other forms of keeping an idea or event in mind. As the monstery and seraphic mechanical bodies. That's a friggin' mouthful, huh? As the monstery and the seraphic mechanical bodies decoded the worlds without the vox machina, how did they possibly do that? How can they change the matter of life and its space? How they can twist all in a single snap? That will be the few questions for Christina and Alexis. So clearly this is like some promo material here before we get into the actual comic itself. Are we there? Is this the beginning of the comic? Vox Machina, E. Mirouge. And here's our two characters here. Looks like on the cover. What is? Or she's like giving her a thumbs up. Can I zoom out? Oh, I can zoom out a little bit here. Maybe we can get the full page. Can we get a full page? This is closer. There we go. She's looking at her like, may I touch? And she's just kind of like giving her the thumbs up. May I touch? Somewhere, oh, this is the comic now. Somewhere in Metro Manila, 2000XX. So, you must be Alexis de Guzman, Yes, Poe. Very well, then. Oh, goodness. She grabs her by the face. You really are shining star. Look at her face. You really are shining star, awkward gawk. You should be ready. Captain's calling us. Yes, ma'am. I know. Let's go. All right. And that is the end of the first page here. Where are they going? I would like to know. Let's continue. Here's the pilot. Or maybe that was just a sneak peek. Now it says pilot. This is the pilot right here. This is the pilot. I don't know how this stuff works. All right, here's the pilot. All right, Philippines. This takes place in the Philippines, the year 2099. At 7:20 p.m., Valestia, main court. We see a shooting star. Shooting star. They say, dun, dun, dun. Monstries are here to have the technology and lands. Dun, dun. Dun. Done. Those are the shooting star riders patrolling the distant lands to secure it from monstry. Scratch, scratch. She's scratching her armpit. She's scratching her boob. What happened to your shoulder? Oh, I jumped the gun on that one. See, I'm a noob. I'm a noob when it comes to comic books. What happened to your shoulder, Alexis? Please, don't worry. I really care about you, Alexis. Let's go to the clinic. The clinic? Uh-oh. Scratching leads to going to the clinic. Thank you, BB Christina. All right. This is episode 0. Now we're at the clinic. Clinic, Valestria, basement, 7:48 p.m., 4th floor. We enter room 406. The Kirsten, that character from earlier they were talking about. I see it here. I can't fly the robot for the meantime. There seems to be something wrong with her shoulder. Ma'am, Alexis? Janika Macalino, RN, registered nurse assigned on Valestian Healthcare Center. Ma'am, Christina will give you a visit. Christina? You will stay here for 2 days. You should take a rest. I'll leave this room. Take a good rest for both of you. Should I leave you two alone? Oh, thank you, Poe. Good night. Close. Does your hand and arm are now okay? I'll stay here to watch over you. I'm fine, ma'am. The spell of the wound was not that. Still, we need to check it before you can take a flight. Thank you, ma'am, Tina. You're really kind to me. All right. So far, there's something going on with her arm. We got an introduction to the characters, and now, as far as the story goes, it appears there's something wrong with her shoulder. She cannot fly her mech. Looks like we have an announcement here. Hello, Vox Machina Emir Rouge will be on hiatus. Oh, no. What? We'll be on hiatus. For the meantime, the creator will go to college. But they promise that they will post more arts when they have free time. Thank you for understanding and continuous support to help the creator survive and cover the expenses. You can visit and drop a tip on their Ko-Fi, Shane Magtoto. All right. Well, I guess that's about as much as we're going to get out of that series, out of that one. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I do some more comic books or what? You guys do some webtoons? Any of you out there watching, you got a webtoon you want me to check out? A comic book to read? I know there's some websites. Another one is like there's this I know there's other platforms out there too where you can kind of like read digital comic books and it'll actually lay it out as if you're looking at a comic book and you're flipping through the pages. But that one's not bad either, where I'm just kind of scrolling up and just like we can just gradually kind of see what develops instead of looking at, the entire page as a whole. I think if I was looking at an entire page as a whole, I would probably have to zoom in on each panel to kind of get immersed in the experience. Whereas I'm scrolling on this one and that one, there's a little bit more immersion, even though, I'm not going to be critical of it. I will just say thank you for sharing. And if you want to contribute to Reading Time, this is not a time where I'm going to be critical. I might share some commentary from time to time. I might have my fun with it, but just take it with a grain of salt and just realize that this is not about judging the work as much as this is just about raising awareness for these projects. All right, you guys. There's a time and a place for criticism. Well, they'd have to be indie. Maybe there are some indie Terminator. I don't know. But the artist or the publisher would have to get in contact with me. And I don't see that happening. So if there's any indie artists out there and you do comic books and you upload those, I'm willing to check them out. But otherwise, it's, if you do essays, poetry, short fiction, or if you do write editorials and you want me to read a critique piece that you've written, I'll do that. But now we're going to move on to the next segment here, which is featured media. And I do have a fun one. For you tonight because I was tagged earlier in the week. Always comes as a surprise when I get a tag. It's a pleasant surprise. And so far, so good. My record on these tags are flawless. In other words, each and every single video that I have been tagged in so far by other content creators, I have taken the time to respond to those videos and feature them here on the show as best as I can. So whether it be book tags or discussions, what have you. So let's see what we have for tonight. This is going to be a fun one. Let me just open this up real quick. So from somebody who is no stranger to the channel, I was tagged by Nicole's Bookish Nook. Nicole's Bookish Nook. And the tag that we're going to be doing tonight is called The Barbie Book Tag for 2023. And this comes courtesy of Nicole's Bookish Nook on YouTube. So those of you who may be familiar with Nicole, of course, I will be leaving a link to her channel in the show notes and post-production. Nicole is a fun creator here on YouTube, very active in both the Booktube and Authortube sphere of YouTube. The Barbie tag, Babby tag. Let's see what this is about. I'm kind of curious to know why Nicole thought of me when deciding who she was going to tag for this, but I don't know. Maybe I'll find out, I suppose. Maybe she is. We'll see. We'll see. I kind of, you guys will find out. I reviewed the video in bits and pieces, not the whole thing. I didn't watch the whole thing. So you guys will find out. But let's jump into this Barbie tag. Hi, Barbie. So before we get started, I will say that this tag was originally created by Julie over at Books with Many Covers. So Books with Many Covers is the name of the channel. And of course, I will be leaving a link to her channel as well in the show notes. And fun fact, I ain't the only one who decided to dress in black for this particular occasion. So I just want to say that. All right, let's get into it.
What's up, Buttercups? Welcome back to my channel. Today's book tag is the Barbie book tag, and I was tagged by Bad is Rad. Thank you for the tag. The moment it popped up on my feed, I was like, you need to tag me, and she did, so thank you very much. And I tried to find a short sleeve shirt because we're during a heat wave right now, and this was the only one that I could find that was clean. I didn't realize until looking for pink that 95%, no, actually like 98% of my pink stuff is long sleeves. I don't know why, but I have two pinkish shirts and the other one's in the laundry. So this is my tie-dye pink on theme. Okay, we have
a little bit of a preamble.
Let's
here.
Jump into the tag. The first question. Barbie's name is Barbara Millicent Roberts. Find a book with a character called Barbara in it, or cheat and find an author with that name. And I'm going to cheat and go with Barbara Kingsolver who wrote Demon Copperhead that I really love. Yay, cheating. Okay, we're good. Number.
All right. Bab. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Barbie had a full name. I was unaware of that. Well, that's you, Sean. Look. Women like to talk about their clothes. That's why I say maybe this isn't a video that was meant for us, you know? And when I say us, I mean men. But hey, I want to know why I was tagged in this. But nevertheless, I'm going to be a good sport. Okay? I'm going to be a good sport. This is what I got. So number one, I have to find a book with a character named Barbara, Bab, in it. Okay. Or I could cheat and say find an author named Barbara. But I decided that I was going to dig deep and I was going to really try to find a book that has a main character with the name Barbara or Bab, as it were. And I did just that. Now, you might say, John, did you read this book before I put it up? And I will just preface this by saying, no, I did not read this book, number one. And so what if I did? And number two, it didn't specify that I needed to have read the book. It just said, find a book. So wording, people, wording here. Choose your words. All right. And I went with Barbara the Slut and Other People by Lauren Holmes. Yes, this is a short story collection. And in the short story entitled Barbara the Slut, a young woman with an autistic brother, a Princeton acceptance letter, and a love of sex navigates her high school's toxic slut-shaming culture with open eyes. And that right there comes straight from the blurb on Amazon, because this is not a book, like I said before, that I've read before. So, however, the question does say, find the book. And I thought this sounded appropriate for this particular tag, you know. Barbie may only have eyes for Ken, but how many men are named Ken? Just saying. When is enough enough? As far as that goes. When is enough enough? Enough is enough already, Barbie. How many boy toys do you need? All right. I think that's enough puns for that one. Move right along.
Two. The first set of Barbie animated movies were based upon fairy tales or ballets. Suggest a book that would be great for Barbie. And I'm going to go with The Wonderful Toy Maker by Evelyn Sharp because it's about toys. I haven't read it, but I know about it. And since Barbie is a doll, it's a toy. Ta-da. Number 3.
I see. I see you kind of you took the pass on that one. So you kind of took a pass on that one. What is this? Okay, so I can do this here. All right. Are you playing along, Sean? Are you playing along? What's this? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she does that. That's her thing. That's what she does. Barbie be Barbie. Is that an author? All right. What did I go with number 2? Number 2, Number 2 prompt on this, if you're playing along at home, is you have to suggest a book. So when you suggest a book, I guess it's implied that you may have read the book, but maybe not. I don't know. It says suggest a book that would be great for Barbie, knowing that Barbie, the movies, I guess, are based on fairy tales and ballerinas. Okay, the animated, I guess. And I decided to go with a fairy tale, and I went with The Little Red Riding Hood, the original. The Little Red Riding Hood, written by Charles Perrault in the year 1697. The opening line reads, "Once upon a time, there lived in a certain village a little country girl, the prettiest creature who was ever seen." End quote. And I think if some sensitivity readers made some revisions and changed village to city and country to valley, then I think this fairy tale would be right up Barbie's alley, if you know what I mean. Oh, there you go. There's some serious suggestions. You say Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine by Gail Honeyman, or The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride, actually, now that you bring that up, you actually just reminded me. And now, given the context, I hope you don't take this as like you making a suggestion to a Barbie. I'm not. It's kind of. Anyways, Princess Bride is now on my bucket list. Thank you, sir. I've been meaning. I've got to remember to put that on my bucket list. I haven't actually read that novel yet. Heard great things. I've seen the movie, and I guess I'll look up the author later on, unless you know it right offhand. But that is one of the classics that I've been meaning to read.
When my daughter was a little girl, I used to buy her Barbie dolls. As an adult, I've always fancied collecting the collectible ones. Yes, that is a thing. I haven't done that, but I have seen them. Like, they release them every year. Have you ever owned or collected Barbie dolls?
Really, Nicole?
If not this doll, which ones? I don't collect and never did collect Barbies.
Oh, that's a surprise.
I have maybe 5 Barbies, including the Ken. And actually, a family friend built me a dollhouse for the Barbies, which is interesting because I didn't have that many. I was more obsessed with American Girl dolls. I have 4 of those. I have Josefina, Kaya, Kit, and Samantha. And then I was obsessed with Bratz. But it was like,
oh no, not the Bratz.
Barbies. So
Barbie the Bratz dolls?
Totally fine. And I think I stopped playing with dolls by like 11 or 12. But I really hung on to the American Girl dolls. Like, I displayed.
That is quite a contrast there, Nicole. Let me just say right now. So you have, on one hand, you have American Girl dolls, okay, which I'm not 100% familiar with, but, you know, I've been down the toy aisles. So isn't that the ones where it's like, you know, girls, it's just different, you know, not nationality, excuse me. Girl, I don't know exactly, but it's supposed to be like this classy kind of collectible type doll, almost like, you know, almost like Cabbage Patch, like how the Cabbage Patch was, or something like that. So it's like when you think dolls, you're thinking like the bigger type of, like, you know, how like some kids would have like baby dolls or something like that, but not like the little Barbie size. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, you have that. So where it's supposed to be like this classy thing. And then you're like, now, wait a minute. I also like the Bratz dolls. Aren't those like the slots? The slutty looking goth ones that turned that wanted to try to make all the young girls into like these angsty kids. I don't know why I said sluts. Maybe I'm the one who's slut shaming, huh? I'm assuming based on their looks. That's unfair.
Them in my room until 13 because those things are expensive. And I have them somewhere in storage
if the plastic
with all
shoe
their
fits.
accessories and just everything. And I have their books in one of the tubs that are just for children's books, because if I put the children's books on this bookshelf, I would have no more shelves. I have a lot of children's books from when I was younger. They're just in a tub, and those American Girl doll books are somewhere in there. But I really loved American Girl dolls because about the history. So that's why it was number one. Bratz was because they were more fashionable.
That
and
makes
there
sense.
were like more options, and they just
the American Girl dolls things. I can see that.
Look cooler than Barbie, but
I can see. I can see. I can see you
Barbie.
liking the American Girl dolls because you write the historical fiction. Was that an influence?
Because that's kind of like the go-to until American Girl dolls came around. I was like, give me that.
What about you, Sean? You play with dolls? You ever play with dolls, Sean? Tell the truth.
The last one I bought was Samantha. No, Kit. Samantha. It was either Kit or Samantha. I bought.
You're over there right now. They're not dolls. They're action figures.
It with my own money. The other 3 dolls, my mom and my grandmother gifted me for Christmas or my birthday. And oh my God, that guy revving up his stupid, ugly truck, ruining the Barbie book tag. I apologize. Ken would never do such a thing. Number 4.
All right. What do I got for this one? For those of you playing along at home, all right. The long and the short of this one is have you ever wanted a collectible Barbie doll? Have you ever wanted a collectible Barbie doll? Is that what it was? Or have you ever owned Barbies? Just answer it however you interpret that. What did I say? I said, I'm afraid I'm going to have to pass on that one. However, I will admit that I might be inclined to buy one of those life-sized Barbie dolls, just for the collection, I'll say. I probably won't even rip it out the package and play with it, just for the collection. That's all. What'd you say? Army men all the way. Yeah, but here's the thing about those Army men dolls. Army men, well, if you're talking about the little plastic ones that don't have like any articulation in their joints, like it's just a mold, there's that, playing with them and like setting them up and like playing like war games and stuff like that. But or the G.I. Joe figures as they were, they had the G.I. Joe figures, the little ones. I remember those that had quite a few points of articulation for how small they were. But then there was also, wasn't there the other G.I. Joes, the taller kind of boxed figure G.I. Joes? Were those G.I. Joes or were they just like generic, like army men type dolls that you could collect? Because those were most certainly considered, I would consider those dolls. Those are dolls. That's what those are. Those are not action figures. Because usually they, like a doll doesn't have, I would say, what's the difference between a doll and a figurine? I guess that's something that could be debated. But I would say the larger, if you're a dude, I'm telling you right now, if you're a dude and you own, I'm not casting aspersions. I'm not making judgments. Okay. But I'll say right now, if you're a dude and you own those army men that came, they're about like yay big. They're about yay big. I think, what are they like? I don't even know how to do the scale. Would they be 1/8 scale or something like that? 1/16 scale? I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about. They are the size of like a standard Barbie doll or Ken doll. Effectively, what those army men are, there you go. Effectively, what those army men are is basically just army man Ken. That's what those are. Those are army man. You own army man Ken dolls. Army man Ken dolls. That's what you own. Yeah. Is that what you had? Oh no, the little army men. He said you had the little army men. All right. All right. You don't need to get. You're lucky. You were probably this close. This close, possibly, maybe, perhaps. It's not up to me. I'm just saying. Getting your man card revoked. Yeah. All right. Let's keep it moving.
Or Barbie means a lot to millions of people around the world. Tell us a book that's special to you and why. And I'm going with Deltor Quest book series by Emily Rada because that got me into reading. If not for that book series, I don't know if I would be as heavy into reading as I am now, or even just reading fantasy books. It's a middle grade fantasy book series. It's a great starter. I always recommend it to middle graders or like more advanced readers that maybe are like third, fourth, fifth grade. It's appropriate for them as well. So it's really wide reaching in terms of appropriateness, but also it's a really good book series that is heavy on the fantasy, kind of epic fantasy, I would say, because there is nothing in there that is related to this world, and that is pretty damn good considering it's meant for middle schoolers. But Emily was like, I'm gonna do a big bomb drop on this, and I'm gonna be an epic fantasy writer for middle schoolers. Why not, right? I mean, she knocked it out of the park, and that's why I read so much fantasy, and I will continue to do so because of that book series. Number 5.
All right. That was funny. That was like perfect timing, Sean. All right, number 5. For those of you playing at home, here we go. Number 5. Suggest a book that needs to be read in Barbie Land that has a message about humanity. All right. And this is what this is what I'm going with here. I went with eBay for Dummies by Marcia Collier, okay, who is also the best-selling author of Starting an eBay Business for Dummies. This should help the average fake suntan twit of Barbie Land learn how to list their own manufactured ass for sale and see how much all that plastic is really worth. Hallmark Special Holiday Collector's Edition, my ass.
Suggest a book that needs to be read in Barbie land that has a message about humanity. And I'm going to just go with Animal Farm by George Orwell on that. It's a classic. It must be read by everyone, I would say. Personal opinion. Number 6, book.
You went with Animal Farm on that one? You like to recommend that book. I could see Animal Farm being a good one for Barbie Land as well. That the other one that I skipped, that I skipped ahead. The other one, the number 4 was tell us about a book that is special to you and why. That's why I skipped it, because I said that's kind of a personal question. So, and that's not something that I think I'm going to spill the beans about here on YouTube for any Tom, Dick, or Harry to listen to. So I'll pass on that one. Let's see. So we're on this. So that was number 5 was the eBay. So now we're on number 6.
Rex for Barbie and Ken. And I'm going to go with One True Loves for Barbie and Friendship Poems by Rumi for Ken. I don't know why. I was just like, this is random. I'm just going to feel it out. Is there logic behind it? No. But that's fine. Number 7 is...
All right. We're going to get to that number 7, Nicole. I want to know why you tagged me in this. All right. So number 6, before we get to that, I got book recommendations for Ken and Barbie, please. So this is just, I guess, just anything I want to recommend to Barbie and Ken. This is what I came up with, and I decided to recommend to them Smart Couples Finish Rich by David Bach. And remember, despite what the title of this book suggests, rich and poor are mindsets, not dollar amounts. Okay. Now, with that being said, I think we all can agree that Barbie may have a bit of a spending problem. I mean, seriously, how many clothes, shoes, and accessories does one broad need? She deserves her own episode on that show, Intervention.
Tags, which isn't a question, but we're going to go and tag a bunch of people. I'm going to tag Bookish Cats. I don't know if he's going to do it. I don't know if Adam Rodriguez is going to do it or not, but I'm going to tag him anyway. And I'm also going to tag Margaret Pinard and Emma Bennett. And just for shits and giggles, I'm going to tag Jonathan. I've tagged him in all of my music book tags, but let's see if he does the Barbie book tag.
Nicole, laugh it up.
Yes, but sometimes you have to live a little bit.
But at least I wasn't the only guy that you tagged in that too. Now let's see if the other 2 dudes step up to the plate and do this tag. Do they get bonus points if they wear pink? I wasn't. There's no way in hell I was going to wear pink.
Wear pink. It's just the theme.
I don't own pink.
But I understand, like, if you don't own pink, like I haven't until recently, like the past couple of years, have owned pink. I just like the tie-dye look. And then also my long sleeve shirts. One of them is Disney, and then the other one, they're plaid.
Okay, going into your clothes now. Going into your wardrobe. All right, thank you, Nicole, for that fun little tag there. Oh yeah, I got to tag some people. Now it's my turn to tag some people. This is what I'm going to do. Okay. This is what I think I'm going to do here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tag 2 Barbies, okay, and 1 Ken. All right. I'm going to tag 2 Barbies and 1 Ken. All right. And this is in the form of typical books of terror and Haley Hughes and another bibliophile reads. So you three, consider yourselves tagged. Have fun with the Bobby book tag for 2023. All right, and that's featured media. If you guys have a video, fun video, or if you want to do, if you do like video essays, you do your own you upload your own poetry readings or short story readings or anything like that. You can share it with me and I'll check it out during the show. I may add a little commentary, check it out. You might get my first impressions, things like that. I might react to it in might make me feel a certain type of way. You get a reaction out of me, maybe. We'll see. But when in doubt, don't think, just share the link and then I'll figure it out as far as whether or not I can fit it into the show. All right. Let's just have fun with it. All right, we have one more segment here, and then we're going to wrap things up. And this is a segment that I call... Actually, let me get this first. So this is a segment that I call Hot Topic for Content Creators. I suppose I'll just keep these in. Fuck it. Hot Topic for Content Creators. This is where I pitch a topic to you guys, and then you guys turn around and create your own content on said topic. Or else you're always welcome to drop your comments down below or revisit any of my previously pitched Hot Topic videos. For tonight, we're talking about, is traditional publishing obsolete? That is the topic for tonight's discussion. And tonight's subject on this topic is talking about what is traditional publishing. What does it mean to be traditionally published? So first, I want to start by just reading a little snippet here, a little excerpt from a quick Google search on traditional publishing. Traditional publishing is when you work with a mainstream publisher to handle the creative process and distribution of your book. Traditional publishing typically pays an advance and royalties. The pro to traditional publishing is that you will gain more connections and an enhanced distribution network. End quote. So it's pretty vague. It's still pretty vague, and I can see how people can kind of still misconstrue the idea of what it means to be traditionally published versus what it means to be an indie author. So I hope to clear that up a little bit here. And if you guys would like to chime in on this and drop your 2 cents, you're more than welcome. Okay, but this is to focus on what is it. But for this discussion in particular, bear in mind, we're focusing on what does it mean to be traditionally published, to be a traditionally published author. So with that quote right there, basically that's going to lead someone to ask, well, what's a mainstream publisher? And I think when you start going down that road, what's going to happen is you're going to start conflating the idea of mainstream with traditional. And I know that happens more often than not. And more often than not, people would be correct to assume that a mainstream or otherwise well-known publisher would be considered a traditional publisher. But that's not always the case. So what's a mainstream publisher? Does that just mean one of the big five? So if we're talking literature, does that just mean the big five if we're talking literature and the big two if we're talking comic books? Because if so, the big five being Simon & Schuster, Macmillan, HarperCollins, Penguin Random House, and Hachette Book Group. Okay, while the big two are recognized as DC and Marvel. So I will say that mainstream recognition alone is not the distinguishing factor that defines whether a publisher is considered traditional or independent. It is possible for an independently owned label to generate what would be considered mainstream success and still maintain the same operation it had when it was established. To understand the difference between traditional publishing and other forms of publishing, we have to take a closer look at the publisher's business model. So hopefully in doing so, I will be able to shed some light upon what it means to be a traditionally published author and what it means to be an indie author. So AKA independently published. Now, I don't go into too much detail on the ins and outs of what it means to be indie as much as I'm trying to focus on what it means to be traditionally published here. So before we begin, I would like to preface this discussion by acknowledging the fact that the publishing industry as a whole is not static, and the way in which any specific company conducts business may be subject to change based on a variety of factors, from economic conditions to social phenomena. And the following information is intended to be personal opinions that serve as a form of suggestive reference rather than rigid definitions. In no way am I labeling or referring to any publishing company in particular, and any similarities between a specific company's business model and the examples I'm providing are strictly by coincidence and should not be interpreted as my characterization or mischaracterization of any specific corporate entity. So here are what I believe to be three key components, which indicates that the publishing house in question follows the traditional business model. So number one, and what should be considered a dead giveaway, but I'll mention it anyway because I don't like to make a habit of underestimating the naivete of general audiences today, let's just say. The business has a corporate structure with hands-off ownership led by a CEO, influenced by shareholders, and or employs middle management positions. That is quite literally the traditional corporate structure in a nutshell. However, there are other more subtle indicators that constitute the traditional way of running a publishing company. Number two, the publisher does not accept unsolicited submissions from unrepresented individuals. I've heard that some publishing houses won't even look at unsolicited manuscripts received through the mail. For all intents and purposes, they get tossed directly into the trash. They do not pass go, and they do not even warrant a response, let alone $200 in advance. This form of gatekeeping is usually under the guise of legal risk in order to maintain benefit of doubt and save face. But I think this level of gatekeeping really just boils down to cost-benefit analysis. Think about whether or not it's really worth it to be paying your employees overtime wages to sort through a slush pile of random shit from an insurmountable quantity of no-name writers. And on top of that, a wild variety of quality. Nevertheless, the use of middlemen in this instance, i.e., agents, okay, is a part of the traditional business model. It's not that the publishing house won't accept an unsolicited manuscript. It's just that the manuscript needs to be submitted through the proper channels, aka a trusted source, aka an agent that the company probably knows on a first name basis. So, in other words, there's people that you have to suck up to and you have to reach out to. It's like a whole step-by-step process to getting traditionally published. There's all these obstacles in the way. Number 3, the author must compromise some amount of creative control. Now, I know this is going to be a contentious one, all right? And my opinion here on this one might surprise some of you, actually. So number 3 indicator that you're dealing with a traditional publisher is that the author must compromise some amount of creative control. So usually a traditional publishing house will have their own team of editors. And when an author signs a deal, they will be assigned a developmental editor to work with. In traditional publishing deals, once the contract is signed, the book is no longer recognized as a solitary creative project as much as it is now considered a business venture in which the author has entered into a partnership with the publishing house. So the author is not the star of the show, so to speak. So if you're being considered for a traditional publishing deal, then your attitude is expected to be that of a team player and not a prima donna. Okay, so I think that there's like this thing sometimes. Now, this is where I'm going to toss in my 2 cents. There's this thing sometimes where I think that sometimes like people who are querying, so like aspiring authors who have yet to be published and they're querying agents, and they're trying to get traditionally published, there's like this kind of like air of delusion a little bit that I think surrounds the publishing industry, where it's like, some of these wannabe kind of trad pub authors think that that's how they're going to be treated and that's how their project is going to be looked at, but they're failing to look at it from a business perspective. You got to think about the amount of hubris that is there, or the amount, perhaps even the amount of entitlement that is involved when, say, you do find an agent and you do get an offer or a full request from one of the big 5 publishing houses, and they make you an offer where they're going to be paying you in advance of, if you're a first-time author, maybe it's somewhere between $20,000, $30,000 up front, or maybe dispersed out in checks over the course of a year, what have you, whatever's in the contract. Okay. So you're going to get that much money, 5 figures, usually at least 5 figures up front, written out in a check for you. All right. For your manuscript, and you got to sign a contract. And then you, as the author, think that you're just going to retain full creative control, and you're going to be the one that's effectively going to have, effectively barking orders at the publishing house and how they handle your manuscript. Well, I got news for you. When you sign that contract, this is why I say you got to be very aware of what it is that you're negotiating. Don't be afraid to negotiate. By all means, please negotiate. I definitely push people to know what it is that you're signing before you sign the dotted line, and negotiate for whatever it is that you want. However, in that same vein, I actually do understand where the publishing houses are coming from when they're putting their money up front. What they're doing is they are effectively making a good faith investment in you, not only as an artiste, all right, but as a business partner, a partner in this venture. So they're seeing your book, they see potential in it. They see potential in your manuscript as a business investment, and they're investing in you and your not only your book, but your ability, not only as an author, but your potential as a business partner. So that's what these deals are about. There's multiple angles in which you look at these deals. It's not just them fawning over your greatness, okay? And they're just, just completely blown away by your manuscript, and it's the greatest thing since Shakespeare, all right? Now, that may be the case, and they may be like, wow, this is some good stuff, that it stands out amongst the rest of the stuff that they're getting in the slush pile, through the proper channels, as it were. But when they're signing you on, if you have almost guarantee, if you go into the negotiation table and you have this prima donna kind of attitude about you, that you're an artiste and stuff like that, and you come across as like you're going to be difficult to work with, they probably won't think twice about sending you packing, and just be like, yeah, it sounded like it was good on pen and paper, but yeah, we're not interested. We figure we'd try to toss you one, we'd try to toss you a bone. You ain't biting. That's fine. That's your decision. But I think we're going to pass on this time around. You know what I mean? So that's where they're at. Now, on the flip side of that, if you've actually put in the work and you've established a name for yourself, you have a following, and you bring value to the table other than your work of art, aka your manuscript, and you have kind of that, what they call a blue chip at the negotiation table, which is in the form of your own audience that you can market to, there might be room for a lot more demands as far as that goes, and you wouldn't come across as being unreasonable or difficult as far as that goes. So what am I talking about here? So now that we understand that when you sign with a traditional publisher, it's a partnership deal that you're entering into. It's not they are just working for you and they are your lemmings, they are your slaves that you command, and they work at, at your to satisfy every whim as far as your work goes, because it's no longer your work. That's what you need to get across here. Once you sign with a traditional publishing house, what would be a traditional publishing deal, it's no longer your work. It's what they would consider our work. Okay. So that's what I mean by that. So now what happens is, everything from the revisions to that manuscript to the cover art, it becomes a matter of what is in the best interest of all parties involved. Okay. Not just your opinion as the artist of what you would like it to be. So from the revisions to the cover art, it becomes a matter of what is in the best interest of all parties involved. But the degree to which varies depending upon what was negotiated in the contract. So in other words, the publishing house could actually have final say as to what happens with the project, which includes the marketing and the advertising. So that's why I say you don't want to be afraid to negotiate, but you also got to understand, because everybody's situation is different, what you're getting involved in the publishing industry for. What are your intentions? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? If you're just trying to get, like, if that's like just a goal of yours, I just want to get published by a mainstream traditional publishing house. That's it. That's my goal. If that's your goal as a writer, then you may be willing to give up more creative control than, say, somebody who's more passionate about their work and they're in it for the artistic merits of the work. So they may see, even that type of individual may see getting published by a traditional publisher, it proves something to them, and they may see that as like a form of prestige or an accolade of some sort to add to their list of accomplishments. But they might not be willing to give up so much creative control. So there's that aspect of it. What you're actually negotiating there is you're going to the table and look at it from the perspective of, okay, this is a partnership deal, because in the essence of it, of what you're negotiating, that is what it is. It's almost as if they helped you write the book, because at that point, now they are, because they're using their resources, including their developmental editor that they assign to you to work with. So, and I think that also it varies on an individual case-by-case basis, but from the gist, from what I've heard through the grapevine in Authortube, because I myself am not a traditionally published author, that is, to my understanding, how things work. But having a business background, that just makes sense to me. Like that, all around, that makes sense. That is how it's viewed. That is how things work. So I hope that helps to clear things up for some folks. But I think the most important thing to take away from this discussion is that when I say traditional publishing, what I'm referring to is the business model itself. Now, of course, the prompt for this hot topic suggests that there are other forms of publishing, and perhaps we could discuss pros and cons of those other business models, as it were, that are out there in the publishing industry, if you'd be interested in the subject. We could also talk about what it means to be an independently published author. Spoiler alert, it doesn't mean one person needs to do everything on their own in order to be called an indie author. But what do you think? You can share your comments down below, and you can let me know, or feel free to join in on the conversation whenever you're ready. There's no time limit to chime in on any of these hot topics. All right, and now that's it for me this week. It's time for the wrap up. We're going to check out some comments, but before we do, let me put on some theme music for you guys. I have prepared some theme music for this evening. So here's the theme music. You are enjoying a nice walk in the park on a sunny afternoon, but the moment is bittersweet because you suddenly realize that you're a character stuck inside a black and white silent movie, and therefore no one will hear you scream. All right. See what we got for comments. Let's see what's going on. All right, from last week's show, I featured a video from Wrestling with Words. Wrestling with Words. That's Cameron there. Stops by. Just wants to say hi and say, I did way too much research on The Last of Us, not to mention it across a couple different videos. Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling of that. You want to kind of get the most bang for your buck as far as your efforts go. I definitely know how that feels. And then we also have from Rainer Chan. Rainer Chan stops by, says, thank you for featuring my review. Yeah, I wish it could contain more details too. Getting a little rhymey there, I see. That was from last week's show, Free Agency. And that was, I read a review on his novel, Lime's Fable. It was a 5-star review, actually. Speaking of comments, I think there was a comment that I wanted to address earlier from Rachel. Oh, there it is. So Rachel writes, legit, trying to get a few standalones out to advertise as made by humans, not machines, and not have to commute to work. You commute to work? So yeah, I think that's, you know what's funny? You know, I talk about that. Maybe I'll bring it up later on. I have another hot topic that goes over the discussion of art and AI, this art and AI phenomenon going on with the artificial intelligence. And I had this one thing where I talked about disclosure, right? Disclosure, where the people who use the AI generators, some of the content that comes out, that gets shit out of these AI generators, that it's their responsibility to disclose that they used AI generation in their creative process, if you even want to call it that. But I know that some people will use their own work. They'll upload their own work into the AI and they'll use it to enhance their own work. So they do use the AI literally as part of their creative process to enhance their own work, as it may be. But I still think that it's their responsibility to disclose that they use the AI generators in their creative process at some point, regardless of how much it was used, or what percentage of the work was AI generated versus created by a human being. They still need to disclose that information. Now, do you think everyone's going to be that honest when it comes to making money? Probably not. Which is why I think it's interesting that you brought that up. Right there where you said made by humans. Because now that leads me to believe that the opposite would probably be true in the future here. There's going to be like, I wouldn't say put a sticker on your work, because we all know how people feel about stickers on their books. But perhaps you could have a little seal of approval, if you will. Your own little personal seal of approval that the work that someone is about to purchase was indeed made 100% by a human being. And perhaps it is also gluten-free. Free, if this, no human beings were harmed in the making of this work. This work is 100% gluten-free, and it is made by free-range human beings. Not monkeys at a typewriter. Not slave monkeys at a typewriter. I wanted to bring that up. Oh, Sean said, I have a book series on the back burner set in Boothbay Harbor, Maine. That's cool. I've been to Boothbay Harbor. See, I thought so. They speak Spanish in Venezuela. Yeah. How is Venezuela doing these days? Do they have their own currency? Are they trading in shroot bucks yet? That's a kind statement. Sean did say, this writer's English is better than my Filipino. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Oh, a little insight there. So the scratching, so the part in that scene where the chick is scratching herself, says scratching in the Philippines is probably a big deal, malaria or something. Gotcha. Sean would just, I think this one's for you, Nicole. Sean would just like you to know that he would never begin a video with 2 minutes about the color of his shirt. I can just see him in the background right now going like this. All right, Toots, let's get this show on the road here. Come on, Toots. Come on, Toots. William Goldman, that's the author of The Princess Bride. Is that? I'll fact check you right now. I'm putting you to the test right now, Sean. Yep, William Goldman. Look at that. Quick note there, add it to the old bucket list. I've been reading a lot of classics this year. I've been actually taking this time, I've been taking time this year to myself to just kind of read some of the books that I've been meaning to get to for a while now. Because I have been reading a lot of indie. And now, I'm checking out some of the books that I've been wanting to read. And those of you, if you follow me on Goodreads, then you probably have noticed that. Right now, I'm in the middle of The Great Gatsby. And I'm enjoying it, actually. I think Fitzgerald has a pretty good sense of humor. I have to say. I'm enjoying the book. All right, you guys. That's the live stream for this week. That's the Monday Night Live show. I hope y'all had some fun. I hope y'all discovered something new. But don't fret, because guess what? I will be back here for you next week. Same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a good week. Oh, hell yeah. That's my guy. Yeehaw! We got to support. Let's buy his product. Buy.
This offended my sensibilities.